I know you've been against some mountainous odds, and that made you an easy mark for these counterfeit frauds. But when you're praying, you ain't been getting counsel by God. You've been talking to yourself like Calvin and Hobbes. You imaginary friend having ass bitch. Yo, what? You really want to know what would Jesus do? He'd be a Jew. What?
I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Soul Khan.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you feel old. I'm a little old myself. I didn't watch you growing up. I saw you like. I mean, I was around back then. I was, probably closer to your age. It's not like I was like, a little kid in high school watching like Soul Khan battle on Grind Time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are without a doubt. Anybody in the battle rap community for sure knows who you are. But I also I don't know, I try to I want to not, only scope the podcast to only the battle rap community. So people outside may not know who you are. Outside of battle rap, other than the fact that you're a legend to all of us who are in that genre. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This might be outdated. I did hear this. I tried to do a little bit of research on some other podcast and stuff you did. So at the time, I think you had a day job as a immigration rights advocacy. Is that correct? Or are you still doing that?
Yeah. Right now, I'm working on something else, but that's what I did for most of the last 6 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess prior to that, you were also interestingly an investigator of police misconduct in New York.
Yeah, for the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Civilian Oversight Agency. Yeah.
And that's definitely a thing I would love to maybe talk about later on.
Sure.
I'm just going to go ahead and shoot for it. To give a full disclaimer to everybody here, though, I am on scary hour time. So I took some edibles. I got beer here. I'm here to chill. I'm not here to be super well informed on anything. I'm just a dude. I like to chill and just talk about bullshit. That being said, I also don't know I don't know your level of depth. One thing I would love to talk to you about, and we kind of touched based on was the topic of Gaza and but I don't know, the depth of your, information and background in that particular topic.
It's to some extent, something I've been concerned with for a while.
Right. Okay. So, I'm going to start you off. I know your perspective on this particular answer, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you to maybe elaborate, and kind of maybe offer a counterpoint to anybody who might say that, anybody who is opposed to the war in Gaza is anti-Semitic, right? This is somehow you yourself. I don't know if you identify religiously as Jewish or culturally as Jewish. I know you do have you can kind of give your own perspective on your relationship to that. That's irrelevant in terms of what is your perspective on how why is it that it's being framed as the war in Gaza? If you're opposed to that, you're anti-Semitic. You hate Jewish people if you're opposed to them just basically killing a lot. Some people have called it a genocide, and I feel I don't personally it's not I'm not picking a side. It's more so I think it's stupid that people get hung up on definitions and words. And I think that's deliberate. I think it's always meant to be a distraction from are we doing a bad thing? Is it, what do we call it? Do we call it A or B or C? But it's there's no dispute that to my understanding that Israel is kind of carpet bombing the entire area, also preventing food from getting into the area because they have a blockade around it and they are the controllers of what goes in and out, which means that anybody who is there is being starved to death. And then they are also bombing hospitals and also the reducing the amount of aid that hospitals can get and give to the resources and so there's no context at all, where I think, medical people, who are not charged of any type of crime should be being assaulted. There's no way that's
Yeah.
not like that's not abhorrent. Like, it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter what the
Yeah.
labels are. It's absolutely unethical. It's absolutely unhuman. So I'll shut up and kind of maybe let you.
Yeah, no. So here's the thing: the reason why a lot of people, are concerned about making sure it's defined as genocide, and that includes numerous human rights organizations and scholars and experts on genocide itself. In order to have some system of accountability for states and other state-like actors that engage in genocide, there do have to be legal definitions. And, also in terms of the historical moral record, it's important because each time someone gets away with these acts relatively unopposed, it pushes the boundary of what someone can get away with, including those who just committed the act themselves. I would say that genocide in Gaza is certainly one of those boundary redefining events, and if we don't term it in a way that shows why it's boundary defining, it's hard for people to sort of pick up on the cue that, like, no, this is definitely something that needs to be identified as a line in the sand, or past old lines in the sand, and in such a short amount of time since the last line was supposed to have been drawn. Gaza is and has been under the thumb of Israel for all Palestinians have been, obviously, since even before the establishment of Israel as a state. But this occupation specifically is 67 on, and then there was a disengagement from Gaza in the aughts, and then, meaning pulling out all the settlements that were there of Israelis, but then it was turned into basically just an open air prison. And this is decades almost of a siege state.
I guess could you maybe like when you say open air prison, what does that mean? Like, why?
It means basically because call it open air prison because it's not just one building. It's an environment. It gives the illusion of freedom when there is none.
Right.
So it's similar to the Warsaw Ghetto, and ultimately, actually, Gaza. I mean, certainly now, obviously, but Warsaw Ghetto was somewhere my grandmother grew up, and similar. In this case, it's measurably worse than what the Nazis did in the ghettoization of Jews,
right,
into neighborhoods. It's far and away, not even close, because even there was more infrastructure, there were more buildings that were left intact than that, back then. But yeah, so Palestinians have been living under Israeli subjugation for generations.
And my understanding is that all food is Israel controls the food that goes in and the food that goes out.
That's been that way for ages, and there's literally they were Israel's fairly transparent about, the government's fairly transparent about having specific caloric guidelines for each person in Gaza, and that things they could, just basically enough to keep someone from starving to death.
Right.
So it's crazy that wow, this has been a push point and something that's really woke people up, the famine aspect, because you can't really, because this sort of food restriction has been a feature of their lives for ages, and Israel has been doing something not to this extent, but constraining food supply, and the reason I think famine's really gotten people to sort of start waking up or feel like they have to say something is that you can't it's a lot harder to make the argument that famine has a legitimate military goal, quote unquote. Whereas guns and bombs, they can always lie and say, oh, they were Hamas and we were shooting at Hamas, and other people got killed in the crossfire or got killed as collateral damage by a bomb, even though they will later trumpet that no, they were targeting someone's entire family. And some people will then be fine with saying, like, that person's a Hamas fan. Hamas has not committed an iota of the number of atrocities or harm that Israel has. That's the other thing that's really tough about this, is that we've people like me included grown up being fed things that oh, this is the villain, this is the evil, this is the aggressor, and certainly not the aggressor. I mean, Hamas has been in a defensive posture its entire existence, really.
Right. I mean, there's no denying that, they don't have as much military strength as Israel, right?
And also,
anybody who would even propose that they're even remotely close,
exactly,
is lying to you.
But even if they were, even if they were a more evenly supplied combatant, they'd still, if all other things were equal in terms of body counts and chronology of violence, Hamas is acting in resistance to a colonizing power, and that's that. But in America, especially post-war on terror, or mid-war on terror, post-war on terror, whatever, it's just it's we've had these names drilled into our head as if they're supervillains, when we have more to relate to them almost certainly than we should be able to relate to the Israeli government and its ghastly decisions that it makes.
Right. Do you know why America is so invested in it? Is it just lobbyists? I mean,
no, because America's invested because it suits American empire. Right. It's a foothold in the Middle East.
Yes.
And that's and a staging area for operations if need be. It's
I guess maybe to just elaborate.
People sometimes have it backwards. Some people, and I understand why, because often it's lobby or interest group pressures, Congress, and there's that on the sort of micro level. You could definitely say there are Congress people that are more supportive of Israel because of money that they either get from AIPAC and other lobby groups, or money that they know will be spent against them by AIPAC and other similar lobby groups. But bigger scheme, both political parties for the most part and elected officials in both of the parties have been pro-Israel, both because they, for reasons of racism too, anti-Arab hatred and, Islamophobic hatred. Also fundamentalist Christian Zionism reasons too, but yeah, ultimately Israel. Joe Biden said this once. He said this, I think, in the 70s, maybe 80s, on the Senate floor or somewhere like that. He said in a speech in support of Israel. He's like, if we didn't if Israel didn't exist, America would have to create one.
Right.
And that says all. It's Israel is a vessel for U.S. interests, not really the other way around. So I think America likes to make it look. It's more in America's advantage for people to think, hey, we're just responding to lobbyists.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do want to kind of maybe kind of expound on it and maybe draw out a bigger picture. So when you were saying that, it's basically a foothold in the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
I think ultimately maybe this is boils down to Western culture, right? It's it's the same way that Europeans basically took over America, wiped out all of the indigenous people, and turned it into this now Christian holy empire type of, obviously we as Americans have gotten a little less religious over time, but we're still kind of stuck in that. But regardless, this is kind of maybe even a rebirth of that. This is so when you say get a foothold in the Middle East, really, I think what we're talking about though is that we are trying to get we're trying to get Christian values into the Middle East, right? Like we're, I mean, like, and even like Israeli is all. I mean, like I'm like I don't know. Like Jewish is still like of the same testament, even though there's like differences in those like things. But the overall overall arcing idea is we're basically, I think, in my opinion, trying to wipe out anybody who's Muslim. We're trying to wipe out anybody who's not some form of like you believe in the Old Testament or New Testament, and then like they'll probably end up fighting it out between themselves. Then like that's probably gonna end.
I mean, I don't think that's not a fight. I mean, that's the thing. It's always like there's this like Jews we're fortunate. We're very fortunate, especially because we've been able to assimilate into American whiteness. Not all Jews are white, either historically or presently, by any means. Especially go way back, but or even just you're looking at like.
I mean, I'm like partially Irish, and I'm kind of the same thing. Like I somehow assimilated in because like all of whiteness is under this umbrella of like privilege, right?
Well, and I mean, the Irish were assimilated in because it reinforced whiteness against black people who were closer in economic and political power to Irish people than other white people were at the time, though that quickly changed. Not to say they were like neck and neck, but just like I think that point's really important that the sort of like still like crusade mindset and that Christianity over everything, but yeah, Jews are only like 0.2%, 0.02% of the Earth's population. And so we got a pretty great deal in America. And then on top of it, we get given this country where we're like, they basically say like, yeah, you can do whatever you want and we're not going to hold you accountable. That wild, no, and but I don't think that has to do with like Jews are great at political. I think it's a convenient alliance. It's a convenient privileging. And it wouldn't be the first time that like an ethnic minority that can assimilate into whiteness gets like rewarded in ways that punish other people. Like how like Irish people got to be, got like police jobs, political patronage and shit, and practically became synonymous with policing, and were just an instrument of suppression and violence against communities of color historically.
Right.
So but I think you're right. I think it's important. Yeah, I shouldn't have, definitely want to say like, yeah, there's like a religious and like racial hatred that animates some people's views about this.
Right. And I just feel like when I see like the Trump era, like especially like the most recent election, because Elon Musk also had a presence in that, and then he has his own like views of like white supremacy and like just wanting to instill things in Africa. And also his own like ideas of Christianity versus other religions, and so I just see this like the thing that these people all kind of like bonded over, I think, was religion, and yet it's a very bastardized version of what.
Yeah, I mean, I would say though, like someone like Trump or Elon are really less positively Christian at all than they are just.
Yeah, I get that. There's also probably more just money.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and there's also with Elon, there's the hatred component too, and the sort of the white nationalism and that in his heart from being raised and benefiting from being from like apartheid South Africa, that is certainly a driving force. Men like Elon, they have no higher goals, even bad higher goals. It's really just about like, do they have what they want, and are the things that they're afraid of being kept at bay or killed. That's what Elon wants. Elon would love, or when he quote tweets something about like that's just like a video of like brown people existing and like being in a large number in a place that's supposed to quote unquote supposed to be white, and just like concerning or the future or something like that. Let's say so, like some dumb fake deep thing. But just means literally like I'm afraid of people who aren't white. And with him, it's often like psychosexual weirdo shit too. So like,
it always like blows my mind that like Elon Musk gets to be like the way he is and nobody ever like really calls it out. Like one thing that like I was watching the other day.
Well, I'll say this: he is now the most unpopular public figure right now in most polling. Yeah, he's tanked. Yeah. The whole Doge thing that tanked things for him too, especially because people are like, "Who are you, piece of shit?"
Yeah, I actually like a couple weeks ago. I was watching like my Twitter feed and like I kept seeing him pop up because he forces himself onto the algorithm.
Yes,
and, like, and like every single tweet he was making, I like went through it. It was like 14 or 15 different like photos of like AI chicks that are like half naked and they're like and like these are just like animated, but like dude, we always talk about like trans people and fucking like their harm or whatever on children. Do you not look at the fucking guy that is running the most popular fucking platform in the world?
Yeah,
and is currently trying to get your children fucking addicted to like anime porn? What the fuck are we talking about?
I'll say this, like TikTok is bigger for younger people and they aren't getting that same amount of that weird ass shit. Elon, he made he has like an AI chatbot, animated chatbot now, who's like supposed to be like a cute anime girl, and it's like unnerving. It's like bro's like 50 something years old and has like 11 kids or whatever. Not like, I mean, he has fertilized. I just like
too many people.
He's like not a father. I can't like. I feel like
that's the proof that like fucking Darwinian evolution is a failure.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
As the human species are going to fucking fail because of the fact that like the most prosperous like fucking human is that guy.
Yeah, no, it's like hollow.
Like, that's a green fucking like that's the biggest fucking headline you could have for our fucking human species is a fucking failure.
Yeah,
we fucking failed.
Yeah.
Put us out of our fucking misery. AI can take us all. I don't give a shit. Like,
I don't say I still I think it's from my experience, my like grandmother's experience. She, she's a Holocaust survivor. Was the one. She was like one of 3 surviving children in a family where everybody else was killed. Everybody else. Maybe a cousin or 2 were left over, but like just completely decimated. And she fought and lived, and that's luck too, obviously. That's incredible luck. And I feel it's been harder for me. And there've been some times where I felt real bleak lately, as I could imagine anybody. But I've tried to remind myself of what she went through in order for me to be here, in order for my mom to be a thing. People literally died to save her. So it's just like that's the thing. It's also like that weighs on me about like giving up on humanity, giving up in general in the future. Like,
This is also the thing that's so frustrating to me is I 100% agree with everything that you're saying. And then like at the same time, I look at everybody today, the people, the fucking Gen Z idiots were around and like, they just don't, memes, bro, what's up, man? They don't give a shit. And like, this is the thing, like we as like humans, like so many people, if I were to like literally populate the entire room with every person that has given me, I am a white male. I am a white male, and still I could populate this room with number of people who have died to give me the opportunity to vote. And like every other demographic also has the same thing. And this is the reality is that like so many people have fought for this. So many people have like actually like gone out of their way. They have risked their lives and livelihood and their life. And they literally, they did this so like we would have the ability to vote. And we're just like, I don't feel like voting. So much of America did not vote in the last fucking election. Because they like, what the, like, it's just, it's maddening, like to see the contrast of those things, because like, you know, you're telling me this story about like somebody who like really had to go through the trenches, right? Like somebody that like really had to go through everything that life could possibly throw at you, and they kept surviving over and over and over again, and everybody else is just like, well, I woke up. I was born into a nuclear family. We make $100,000 a year. My grandmother gave me like my down payment for my house, and I'm just gonna go through shit. Like I'm gonna go fucking to college and not have to. You're like all of these fucking people that are just so entitled and privileged to the point where they just lose track of the fact that like this shit is real. Like this is only provided to you because you are in a very small window of time of like 250 years. But outside of that, democracy never fucking existed. Outside of that, it was feudalism. Outside of that, it was fucking like conquerors that would come in and fucking wipe out everybody in the fucking like village and fucking rape everybody and like fucking murder. And like this is the only fucking time where we have had democracy, where people are able to actually, like, even though yes, we get it, everybody got it fucked up when America started and they said all men were equal, but they also excluded women, they also excluded black people, they excluded everybody. Like, but at the same time, we have this thing that actually fucking matters, which is democracy, right? We have this thing that fucking matters because we as people can come together and say, even though it's not like that, we want it to be like that, because we give a fucking shit about like fairness and equality and actually having everybody in this fucking world be able to fucking feed their fucking children, which should not be a fucking controversial opinion, and yet it fucking is. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
And yet, here we are. In 2025, we can't fucking feed everybody. Why?
I mean, we can't.
Because fucking Elon Musk has all the fucking money. So what the fuck are you talking about? Don't look me in the fucking eye. If you are my fucking family, if you call yourself my fucking friend, if you call yourself anything to do with me, if you fucking approve of that shit, what are you doing? What are you doing? The end.
Yeah.
That's how fucking frustrated this shit is.
Yeah. No, it is. And it's tough, because even tougher because, you know, America already produces enough food to feed the world. Like we do. Just ourselves could feed the entire world. But instead, it all has to be for profit, and that which cannot be made profited on just gets thrown away. So it's pretty reprehensible. So, but and that's something that could have been addressed this year, last year, the year before that, every year. It's just for basically for decades going back now that America could feed the entire world, and that's just like. I'm not. That's not to say that it's not possible in the future. I think it's, and also it's we don't even really have a democracy anymore to the extent that it even existed before, like you were alluding to. But yeah, it's now the likelihood of a policy that gets passed and put into law actually reflecting like a demand by voters. Something that voters are polled on and they're like, this is important to us, so this is what we want. The likelihood of that being the reason for laws happening has like plunged just precipitously. Like this has been analyzed pretty rigorously at this point. And the conclusion from those like pretty credible analyses is that your input as an American here as a voter is diluted more than we could possibly articulate, and not in the sense like just one vote, but like even just like one vote, thousands and tens of thousands.
Like all the gerrymandering, all the super electives, and all this shit that makes it.
And things like that's even. And
I want to vote for the person that I want to vote for.
And you're talking about something that's even more fundamental. You're talking about something that even precedes like any lawmaking or any law enforcement. Like you're just talking about selecting who these people are.
Right.
And from that there are already those barriers to doing that directly or in a way that makes sense. So that's and in changing things like that, I think could help, because after a certain point, you can only, like, right now, a lot of this stuff can happen because they're like majorities that are like thin enough that whoever wants to do the worst shit just feels like, I'll just do it while I can while I'm still in office. And, I might get voted out 2 years, 4 years, but like, just go off right now. And then whoever's on my team will get back in after me. Like, but if you had like, basically, if you had so many voters, and that's if we're just like still sticking with like voting as like a driving cause of change, but like, if you have just so many more voters, like in landslide elections for candidates that actually campaign on and then hopefully fulfill, promises of like a more decent world, then yeah, it becomes like then legislators and executives have to behave differently because they have to assume, oh, this is what people want, and if I want to stay in power, I have to give them something closer to this than what I'm giving them.
Right.
Or I have to or I just have to be lucky enough to be in a part of the country where we represent a electorate that's in a district that's like not, that doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. So it's a big bad mess, and by mess I don't mean it's hard to understand, but rather it's just fucked up.
Right. And a point I want to keep driving home, though, is that also, like, as you've mentioned, this is not a like a partisan issue, right? Like, this is
it is
fucking,
it's partisan, but it's rather not partisan. It is a bipartisan issue. It is a
right. They both agree on this, and therefore, like, that's the thing that gets persisted.
Yeah.
And this is so fucking frustrating because, like, even like, okay, so I think all this is tied. I think it's all tied together. I think the money interests are somehow, invested into Israel and to the genocide in Gaza. There's 100% a financial reason why they're doing this, and they're going to sell it under the guise of religion. But like, there's,
or blatantly commerce. They're willing to do that now. I think that things have also changed to the extent where
they have been like, they
will straight up say like, hey, this is a real estate opportunity.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's a conquest thing too. It's a conquest thing.
The Trump fucking administration is like straightforward about it.
Yeah. They're not bullshitting people.
I'll give them flowers for one thing. That's the only thing. But
they don't lie about themselves being monsters.
Yes.
To the same extent.
They contradict themselves all the time.
Sure.
Like literally, we talk about like the Epstein files and shit.
Oh yeah.
Like literally claiming that now it's a Democratic hoax, but like literally ran on 4 years of like we're gonna release the Epstein files and like. You can't just like contradict yourself like that. Like
It's easy to. That doesn't matter anymore. That hasn't mattered in a while.
Yeah.
I think once there was. People were shocked by Trump winning, myself included, based on like, oh, you can't say that, you can't say this. This is a red line. You cross this, it's all over for you. It's too.
I don't know how eating the cats and eating the dogs was not the end of it. I don't, but it was.
Why would it be? I mean, but then I think back. Not even that far back. 2008, John McCain running, and. He was saying about bombing Iran, and also dropping the G slur for Vietnamese people when talking about his experiences in Vietnam. It's like, yeah, dog, I know you were a POW. It's also your own fucking fault. But like, because America was wrong. And like, but still, like, it's decades later. You don't have just because they put you in a cage don't mean you could call them a racial slur. Sorry. Right. And like, that didn't do anything to him. It was a scandal, but it wasn't what made the difference ultimately. And just think about how many things people get away with, in politics in general. It all was leading up to this, and it's going to go past him. When infidelity, like spousal infidelity or something like that, stopped being as much of a concern to Republicans. That was like an interesting twist because like that used to be a thing that any politician would fear, especially then like the quote unquote family values people. But Republicans just been able to be like, especially because there's so much like of a born again evangelical quality to its Christianity. It's like saved again. Jesus is back with extra power this time in my life. It's yeah. I don't have any expectations for and can't assume. I can only predict now more confidently about like what will hurt a politician if there's like a sincerely and closely held value that they're offending on the part of people who they need to vote for them. So like, for instance, when Kamala Harris basically just sort of cast pro-Palestinian activists aside and Palestinian people, and also like basically just was running interference for what Biden was doing.
I don't want to like make a claim that without like any like that.
No,
I think I had read somewhere. Granted, do not fact check me, please.
Okay. No worries.
Like,
no judgments.
I think I had seen that like that the Biden administration, like prior to Trump being president at one point, deported people who should have been here. Like they did not do any crime other than they were part of these rallies and then were deported for that.
So that was after. That was more Trump. That was during the Trump thing. But like, I mean, Biden's immigration
Trump is actually
policy was still
in cases
awful.
Like literally deported Americans, right?
Yeah. People with green cards more so, and there've been a couple of people who are citizens because like that
continues to try to militarize the National Guard against U.S. citizens.
Yep.
And like.
It's just dangerous.
We voted to have the military enforced upon us. Like that is
I'm saying it's more people either voted for Kamala Harris, somebody who else wasn't Trump, or didn't vote at all. The majority of eligible voters did not vote for Donald Trump. The majority of people who showed up voted for him. But the majority of eligible voters did not vote for this. And then if you add that to the number of people who can't vote, then it's really clearly like a majority of people who don't want this.
Right.
It's not the thing that's supported by the majority. It's not supported by, but our system is construed in a way that, decision making is limited to people who are citizens. I mean, by the decision making by like voting, limited to people who are citizens. And who are not felons also, and also people who just have the sort of presence in mind and belief and the like track record that validates their belief that their vote matters, and the majority of those people even did not support. Like the majority of the people who could vote did not support Donald Trump. It's just, but that's why it's important to make sure people show up or do things that like encourage people to show up or do things that don't discourage them from showing up. So like one of the biggest issues in swing states for Harris was her staying pretty much in lockstep with Biden on Gaza. That was one of the that was.
Well, I mean, I will say that like I watch podcasts and stuff, and like I also understand like the frustration of like she just gave very parroted answers, right?
Yeah.
Every single time she had a catchphrase she had to throw in. She was given the same statistics. She was given a script, right? And people wanted an authentic person, right? And I get that. And this is why, like, it's like authenticity to me matters, and it's just like I'm very sorry if I act out of sorts earlier, and like,
no, it's all good.
I love and respect you to such a high degree, but like, I just get emotional about these.
Sure, I mean, it'd be stranger to never get emotional about these things. If I'm calm about it right now, there are moments where I'm not so calm.
Right.
Depending on what's happened or what I'm reading about, what I'm watching, what I'm seeing firsthand.
But I can understand like people saying like Kamala was not a very like
no, she was atrocious candidate. She was an atrocious candidate. She had like a good week. She had like two. The first weeks. Yeah.
I just want to go on this topic because this is the thing that's really been bothering me. Like, I can see almost like like I'm trying to see through the matrix here, right? And like
Okay.
you can see that there is a very like the establishment Democrats,
Yep.
right? And you
Yep.
have people like, Cory Booker, you have people like Gavin Newsom, you have people like
Uh-huh.
Barack Obama, you have people like Hillary Clinton, et cetera, et cetera. And like these people,
Nightmare blunt rotation right there. Yes.
they all kind of have, and Nancy Pelosi, and we can keep going, but all these people have an agenda, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so fucking clear to everybody. They're not taking it to Trump because they're trying to protect America or do anything good for America. They want to take the same corruption that previously existed in America, and they want to put it back into America and get rid of Trump. That's their only
Yeah.
objective. Period.
Yeah.
And like this is very obvious, especially when you look at like their stances on Gaza. Like Gavin Newsom, not opposed to Gaza, and they do this whole fucking like, oh, I'm gonna portray myself as Trump. And hell, it's fucking funny. I enjoy it. It's great content. But no, that's not the fucking great white hope. Fuck him. I don't give a shit about him because he is fucking bought and obviously fucking going to go towards the same fucking corruption that already existed. And then you have people. So this is when I like look at other candidates and I'm like, I'm a very much like, AOC, Bernie Sanders, like, these are the people that are actually calling out the problem, which is the problem is like all of this is stemmed in money. Money. Democrats are fucking corrupt because they are sold out. Republicans are fucking corrupt because they're sold out. So we need a fucking system. And there's a very fucking, I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again. There's a very fucking simple solution. Ranked choice voting.
Okay. That's one thing.
Like, this is such an easy thing. Like, do not allow the DNC, do not allow the RNC to select your candidate for you. It doesn't even matter what we want to call it. We don't have to call it ranked choice voting because this gets back to a point where, like I was talking about earlier, people like to put things in the definition and then we get to argue about the definition. Fuck that. I'm throwing out the definition. Here, this is the only thing that we need to do. We need to make sure that we as a people, the large amount of populace in all of America, are able to pick the president. Figure out how that gets done. I don't care how you do it, but there is a fucking way. Ranked choice voting is one option. There might be a better one. I don't know. Fucking find a scientist. Fucking find a mathematician. Do you not know any fucking academics? I know you fucking don't, because you fucking you went to school and you're like, I don't need math for anything. I don't need science and fuck all this. But like these people do not know how to fucking operate when the fucking world is currently operating against them. Like these are like just fucking soldiers that are just unequipped to go out into the world and fucking deal with the problem because like there was a quote, and again, it was like a meme or whatever, so I don't want to 100% attribute to it. But I think it was Warren Buffett saying that, yeah, there is a class war, but like poor people are getting their asses completely whipped, right? Like it's just the billionaires are waging war against you, okay? And if you don't do anything about it, you're going to get stomped the fuck out. That's it.
Yeah. All right.
So your battle with Oppo was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, you just. I do want to give you flowers. It was a fucking incredible performance. That whole
Thank you.
That shit got me so fucking.
It's great. Phenomenal event. I didn't get to watch as much of it live as I wanted to, just 'cause I was like, so feeling kind of like.
I understand that so much.
Yeah, my prep was kind of derailed. So.
Battle rap, dude.
Yeah, no, I get nauseated before every single match. Never change. Yeah, just because I just want to get it out. I once I ended up being able to finish my material about 4 days before the battle. I had most of it written already in the weeks leading up to it, but like there was stuff I took out because it was like too long, and then stuff I put back in because now then they didn't feel impactful enough. And it's like, but one thing, like it's been a long time since I battled, so like, yeah, and I like things were like more dense in this battle material wise, and even just preparing. I basically need to like prep a month in advance because my voice, because of how I rap and how intense I get, it just gone practically. Like what you heard was from, me trying to practice that stuff and just not being responsible is because I'm so fucking out of practice with this shit. Honestly, full
Right.
disclosure, you know.
No, I mean, I love seeing you back, and I feel like
Thanks.
you've been a fucking, you've been on a tear since you've gotten back. And like, I mean, like, I don't know. It's like part of me is like, I don't really want to go into the Diz battle because it's a little bit like old and cliched.
Yeah, that's fun.
I also like, we don't got to go on like rap.
I haven't done a ton of interviews in a while. It's there's always new perspectives on it from people. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so let me just like sidetrack here and like maybe go back to where we were before.
Okay. You got it.
So if I were to get like conspiracy theory here, right? Like, what is your personal opinion? Do you think? Oh, like I mean, just based on whatever you know or don't know, you can elaborate maybe. But like, what is your personal opinion on? Do you think that that October 7th was did the Israeli government know about it in advance? Were they able to stop it in advance, or was it a completely
based on what the evidence even is right now, which is that they kind of either had, we at least know, so the possibility of time that they had to start like mobilizing people and put a stop to this in a very decisive way if they wanted to was as early as I think I don't know if it was weeks before or days before or day before, but there was it was released info about how at least one general knew, if there were general and other commanding officer, but like it's a story just broke out of on, you read up on Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, but there was like an hour warning, like where like knowing that like they could start mobilizing troops, and like Israel has an air force,
right?
They have planes. They also have helicopters. Like,
I mean, I assume they're all on call 24/7, right? Like,
you think? I mean, I get it.
I would assume military.
And it's the states the country's the size of New Jersey. It's not hard. It's not a long trip to get when you're on an aircraft. They could easily have mobilized faster than they did. And also just like there is this part of this strategy of Israel provoking and sort of Israel spent decades promoting this myth of like, Palestinian resistance fighters use human shields. And then when there's basically no evidence that's ever really come out about that being a real problem, two things. Either Israel literally does it themselves, or they change the definition of human shield to be like, there's military infrastructure in the civilian building. And it's like, and again, we're talking about, people who you're not allowing to have a country. So they're not having like formal uniform and uniforms and bases and shit like that. Like, and I'm not to say there aren't any uniform like qualities from like Al-Qassam soldiers and stuff like that. But yeah, so like, Israel changes the definition of human shields, but they're not effective enough human shields because they will just blow up everything anyway. So it's pretty grotesque.
Yeah, I mean, I don't claim to be very informed on like foreign affairs in general. I just it just seems objectively.
It's hard to be. I mean, it's also hard to be. There's a lot of the world, and you could you only keep up with that much.
Misinformation. This is like the thing that bugs me. And like I will say, like I want to offer a quick counterpoint because like this was like maybe a year or year and a half ago, right? Like, this was before the election, and I was. Like, so lately of the last, year or so, I've been really, especially since, Trump got elected, I've been like staying off the internet in terms of like anything like that is going to just make me mad. Right. but like prior to that, I was just all in, and I was fucking up my mental health. So that yeah, I was basically like looking into like things, and like I found like a source that like I think is, you know, credible. I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head. I know there was actually like a published, you know, thing from the UN or something like the so it's like it's a credible source, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not stupid. I went, you know, I did well in school. I'm like I'm an academic. I get it. Like I understand. Like you have to know your sources, and like, you know, like really pay attention like when you're trying to take in certain facts, which is like most things I just let them by, you know, go by, but I don't really take them in. But this is one thing that I did take in, because this was like, you know, some kind of, you know, credible source, allegedly, and like it was like a map, and it was just data. Like it wasn't even like, you know, making any point or whatever. It was just data about how many people had, you know, some level of like food or whatever. And again, this is
Uh huh.
going back to our discussion about, you
Yeah.
know, famine and what the definition of it is. And like I know like that like a year or a year and a half ago, I personally witnessed and watched, you know, an article, and like, you know, it said that there would be like famine, and that like implied that like, you know, it would be completely done within like, you know, half a year or a year. But then like, you know, obviously that was like 2 years ago or so. I don't know the whole timeline on it, but like I'm like, you know, I'm bastardizing it all of it. But so this is just the counterpoint I'm trying to argue. It's like number one, even when it seems like you should be able to have a credible source of information,
Hmm.
we as Americans cannot necessarily get the credible
So
information. So it's
I
like,
yeah, I mean, usually the way you evaluate evidence is, I mean,
so
it's
it's not
verify.
entirely
It's
our fault because the
yeah,
information is bad, right? Like
yeah,
we are
yeah. No,
trying
no,
our
I know.
best in a system that
Yeah.
is like,
So one of the worst things about the internet is that obviously it like obscures accurate information with a glut and like a flood of false stuff or misleading stuff or just junk that just like gets in the way and crowds out stuff and makes it hard to find things, period. There have been pretty massive efforts to catalog and scrutinize video and images that have been posted and credited to sources in Gaza. And we have definitely, probably at this point, just in one single site, like there's one like TikTok genocide, probably approaching like 10,000 pieces of evidence of atrocities.
mhm.
And that means that you know, keep in mind that's only
I
people
mean,
who
it
had
seems
who
very
survived,
objective. I
only
think,
people who survived,
yeah,
and in that moment, who survived that moment,
right.
and you still had a phone intact, and still all these other conditions that still only speak to a fraction of people in Gaza, and you know, if it's not that you should always assume that things are worse than we're being told, but like, you know, Israel's pretty open about it. Like, in fact, it's Israeli intelligence was leaked. Israeli intelligence's current estimate of like the death toll inflicted by Israel during this has been 83% civilians. That's what
Right.
Israel itself is predicting.
I know.
They will then be like, well, they're collateral damage. It's like, you can't say 83%. That's not collateral. That's insane. That's like ludicrous,
Yeah,
and that's
and
deliberate.
I'm assuming that number is greater than the number of people
Exactly.
that
It's
died
course.
on October 7th,
Oh,
right? Like,
Israel was at one point doing. They were doing an October 7th a week. They were
right.
doing a couple then after that, and like and built like in and a lot of the body
But this
counts
is
we
the
were
same thing that
getting were
America did in 9/11. This is the thing though
after
that
like after so
we
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of all knew that though. We've seen this tape play out.
Sure, I think you're right. No, and there will be the fact that obviously there was no accountability for the quote unquote good invasion of Afghanistan, even though that ended up just being kind of a absolute farce and just being another atrocity. But then Iraq, which is it's more popular to have pretended to be against it wouldn't happen. I'm not saying, I'm saying there are millions and millions of people. In fact, that still remains by numbers the biggest anti-war gathering is against the Iraq War. Nothing happened to anyone real there, obviously, as far as like politicians facing any accountability. And that's 500,000 people. And so now, fast forward to somewhere where we don't even have, for the most part, soldiers there. And so American people are like, I think it's a testament to how, like, right now, actually, a majority of Americans think that what's happening is genocide.
Right.
And then, obviously, and much like 70-something% of Democrats, so the vast majority of Democrats believe it's genocide. And yet, there's no party that is really willing to go against this.
That's insane, isn't it? Right? Like, that's so obviously, like,
sure. Listen,
manufactured.
But think about this way also, like, this is where we get back to, like, there is no real democracy because there's no reflection of the actual desires of the electorate. With something that's just domestic, like the vast majority of Democrats support, like I'm talking like upper 80s, maybe higher, support single payer healthcare, like Medicare for all, like that's been promoted by Bernie and other leftists and Democrats. Not that that's the same thing, but anyway, like the vast majority of people, and even like a plurality of Republicans support that. So the majority of Americans do support single-payer healthcare, like Medicare for all, like decommodified healthcare, and no one runs on it. Not someone
like
in our leadership is against it,
right? Like he still keeps popping up here and there, but like there's a reason for that. The American people were once united on this thing that, like, we all see it. Like, we all see the fucking the fucking Matrix, right? We all see the fact that, like, we are currently being exploited and, like, they're trying to drain every dollar out of us that they can, and we are not even able to do, like, we don't have any human rights anymore because we have to pay for rights. That's the whole thing in capitalism, is that you don't have any right unless you are willing to pay for it, period. Like, you somebody with $1 million or $1 billion, I promise you they can get an abortion with no problem, even in Trump's America, right? These are basic human rights that are going to be taken away from you unless you can actually pay for them, right? Like, unless you get paid to like, or even just be able to go to the hospital and get something done, or it's just everything is a toll booth, right? It's just like it's taking.
Yeah. It's but because Americans are not willing to tolerate, because we are not right. I don't know. It's tough because, like, there are enough Americans to overthrow all of this, either through, like, disruption or, like, it is not true.
Here's the thing. Like, this is the thing. I am 100% convinced that, like, boycotting is the answer, right? And, like, because I saw this, like, you saw the Cracker Barrel thing. Okay, but that's an example of the right successfully boycotting. And then, like, you saw the Target. That's an example of the left successfully boycotting. But fuck left, fuck right, like, we do not, like, obviously we as people, the American people, are disenfranchised with whatever the fuck this corrupt ass government is, and we as people can unite on the fact that, like, we can control this shit. We have the power to control this shit if we unite on our financial dollar, what we don't pay for. That's it.
Yeah, I would just qualify a little bit more that, though, like, that, and add that it is left versus right. It is that. It just left. More people are left than they themselves know, because they're not. These are all things that do still fall on the left-right axis of political ideology, and not like
the left gets satirized as, like, every single liberal is a lesbian, like,
and I don't think people even know what left is. Like, a liberal is just a moderate politically. I would say there are a lot of people though
I
who
just
don't
give a fuck about the labels.
but they are things though. They are represented.
There are things I have to I have to follow everybody else's norms, but I'm a little I just fuck that. I don't care. Get the fuck away from me, you weird ass people.
It's rare that someone says that. Here's the thing. It's not impossible, and I've heard people tell me like, "Oh, I'm right wing," and they describe it and they don't know.
Not mine. I 100% believe that because
But what you did say is
fucking figure out what the I'm at peace with I want fucking everybody to just enjoy each other and just fucking be okay. But you all just seem to have some other fucking malfunction that teaches you that you have to have some kind of superiority over somebody else, and then their fucking misery has to come from your fucking happiness. Go fuck yourself. I don't want that. I'm if I'm if I'm mentally because of that, go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. That's your problem. You go to a therapist and figure it out. You figure out why the fuck you're an asshole.
But it's a value system too at a certain point. I used to, there was a period I was like, isn't being right wing just kind of like an antisocial disorder or something? Isn't this aren't these behavioral health problems almost, like an inability to care about other people and care about people who are different than you, all these things. But then there are people who say no, I know that this is something that you might cast as a behavioral failure, a problem. I'm and they'll say I am knowingly choosing to hate people or to want to withhold things for them.
Right.
That's a belief system. That's a value system. And then that some people very clearly want to vocally align themselves with that and make sure that that's how they feel. But that, and it's also more of a, that's the thing that's frustrating because right-wing voters, they often will vote against, just many voters will vote against their own interests. Very few people are actually voting in their interests. The only people who really vote in their interests are rich people, generally. Everyone else who isn't rich usually is voting for things that'll make them less prosperous or make life harder. But yeah, so I do, yeah. So labels are when I say that labels are important, it's not important because we need labels, but it's because enough people already have adopted them, believe in them, and have meaning in them that we can know, that helps us to know where they stand. If someone is sitting where they're sitting and they're willing to be I'm a Republican unashamedly, and it's oh, after all this, okay.
Right. Well,
that means something that's
I personally hate the fact that people will label me as a Democrat. Right.
Sure. Even if you're not, even if you just disagree with the Republican Party, someone will be you're a Democrat. I'm no.
I am registered as a Democrat.
Sure.
I voted Democrat in every election that I've been able to beat, but I am not a fucking Democrat because I don't like any of these people that they're putting up. I just like them more than I like the fucking people on the right, because the people on the right are fucking trying to take U.S. They're literally this is the other thing I was gonna say. Is that not a cornerstone of Nazi Germany to have the federal military to federalize a military presence in the cities of the people? Isn't that all just the same shit? Why we have never had this in America ever, and now we do, and we're normalizing it. This is we're normalizing it. We have fucking military, American military, around our fucking cities, and this has never happened in American history ever. So don't tell me Donald Trump is American. He's not American. This is fucking anti-American. Every single authoritarianism is anti-American. Democracy is American. The idea that we had the ability to actually vote for the person that we wanted to vote for was American.
Yeah.
It's just like literally the people that call themselves fucking American and like vote for Trump and like that fucking idealized fucking American flag shit, they do not represent American values whatsoever. When you look at American values from an historical perspective, completely contradictory. America was founded because we did not want a fucking dictator.
Yeah.
We did not want a fucking king. And now we got a fucking king. That's literally the fucking opposite of America. What the fuck? I keep saying this. So this is going to be my new catchphrase. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
I know you're like I know you were talking about earlier, people like saying that their vote doesn't matter, right? Like
Yeah.
I do agree to.
That's why the majority of people who are polled who are eligible to vote but do not vote, the majority of people say either that they don't see candidates that represent what they believe in, or they don't think voting makes a difference. Those are the two major reasons. They're ahead of everything else. They're ahead of voter suppression, like the reasons that people cite for why they don't vote, even though they can.
Right.
That's not everybody, but it's the largest. It's a plurality, at least.
This is something that has bugged the ever living shit out of me. And this is that. All right, so Trump in what was it, 2020, right? He tried to he had the whole insurrection January
2021. That was 2021. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And so this was based on this premise that the Democrats overturned the election, right? So
there was a stolen election. The stop the steal is what it was. Yeah.
And so let's play out the timeline. 2016, Barack Obama, but then Hillary and Trump ran against each other. Trump won.
Yep.
So obviously, I'm just I'm trying to fact check and use my logic here, right?
Sure.
So I would say that I believe that voting matters because people voted and they said we wanted Donald Trump. I think that was fucking asinine, a terrible decision, but okay, well, maybe from the perspective of these people who are just super, because I get it, because Hillary Clinton was an establishment candidate. People were not really that fucking, we were not for Hillary as much as we were anti-Trump. And I get that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
and there's a
Bernie Sanders guy. I wanted Bernie,
Yeah.
But so let's just say I'm willing to believe, and I don't know if everybody's willing to believe. There's plenty of counter arguments, but okay, I'm willing to believe that in 2016 the vote mattered, right? There was not this big deep state government that was going to stop Donald Trump from being president.
Yeah.
And
Sure,
in 2020, somehow, while Donald Trump was president, the deep state grew. They were not able to stop Donald Trump in 2016. While Donald Trump was president, the deep state grew, and they were this big shadowy monster. Whoo, we're gonna get you. And so they grew, and then they somehow stopped Donald Trump from winning the election in 2020. Okay, well, so now then we're gonna go here and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna have an insurrection because we all believe that the Democrats, they gotta get you, buddy. And this is what the fuck is wrong with you. You literally just play this out in your head like it's a fucking movie, and it's not. It's a fucking reality. We are not in a fucking simulation. Your votes fucking matter, okay? And they matter because they put Trump in office in 2016, and they matter because they took Trump out of office in 2020 after the fucking pandemic, which people don't fucking want to admit that Trump was fucking running the show in the pandemic when all the lockdowns happened. You don't fucking talk about that, do you? Nah, it was only Joe Biden. Yes, we get it. He was Weekend at Bernie's. He was a fucking goddamn idiot. He could not fucking function. He was gone. We get it. Nobody, anybody who is real was not saying he wasn't. If you watch The Daily Show, which you don't, if you watch John Oliver, which you don't, all of these people and platforms were acknowledging that, Joe Biden pretty fucking checked out right now, and there's some shit wrong. But no, you don't fucking focus on that because you only watch, like, I don't even know what the fucking equivalent is. There is no fucking funny fucking Fox show. There's nothing that's fucking like, it's literally all just terror. It's literally every single conservative fucking media person is just like, how are we going to make Democrats seem like fucking rapists and child molesters and all these other fucking things? And what are we fucking doing here? How are we still in this fucking cycle? How have you not fucking looked up and said, hey, this is fucked up. We need to fucking unite against that shit. How are we not at that point yet? What do I gotta do to y'all? What do I have to fucking do to wake you the fuck up?
I would say that probably that, people can still get by. And I don't mean get by in a healthy way. I mean in ways that are setting them up for more.
Meaning like a very small margin of like top, every other condition, like every other person in like outside of like the top. Maybe when I say 1%, I don't mean like 1% of America. I mean 1% of the world, which is like if you have like if you own a home, you are probably in the 1% of like the entire world. Like
I mean, you're not, because there's a lot more. No, I mean, like if you look right now. Like
outright, if your net income is like 500,000 of the world, not of America, like
I mean home ownership, it does exist. I mean, like the majority of like countries, homeowners are the majority of people. It's just except in like a couple places.
You're talking about a population of 350 million people out of 8 billion.
Yeah. But I'm saying those still, like, I mean, to use like in terms of no, I mean, you can say the top one. They are the top 1% of the U.S. are a smaller than 1% globally.
I don't want to get too caught up on like again getting onto like semantics and stuff, but like, and I'm just on my own drunken tirades anyway, so I'm not trying to stand 100% by everything I say. But like, we'll get back to the point. I don't even remember what it was, so we can move on. What's the?
I was saying the reason that people don't like rise up against all this stuff is, it's a couple things. It's we have one of the most militarized sort of law enforcement apparatuses in the world, and one that's willing to kill people. And has the guns to do it, and also like we have a much more severe, you have more to lose, quote unquote. I think, and people are, people naturally want to be as comfortable as possible if they're already comfortable. If you're not comfortable at all, life's already a pain and struggle. But then there are also people who for whom that is the reason why they don't rise up, because they don't have the energy, or they're already busy trying to just make each, ends meet day to day or hour by hour. It's and that's not an excuse, but it's explanation, I think.
Right.
I think when things get harder, yes, there's more likelihood for unrest. If it's like, for instance, like when COVID was first surging. And when lockdowns are happening, people were, I think some people were like, there were more people who were upset about the lockdowns just because they were lockdowns than people felt like, oh, you're taking away my freedom. More people just thought, sorry, my dog is being a little menace for a moment. You want to come here? Come here.
What's her name? Or his? Yeah, you good.
I think he gave up. Maybe. He is a scoundrel.
All right. What's his name?
It's Hugo.
Hugo. Where'd you get the name Hugo?
He's very small. My ex-wife.
Okay. I only know that movie was called Hugo.
Hold on. What? I think it was. Well, she named him after Victor Hugo, the author.
Okay.
One second. You see this handsome picture of me for a moment.
Yeah, looking devilish. You have like the perfect amount of chest hair that like almost blends into your neck beard.
And there we go. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. What were we talking about?
No, I was just gonna ask you like your dog Hugo, like where you got that name from.
Yeah, Victor Hugo, who wrote Les Miserables.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a theater person, man. I'm so
He wrote the
uncultured.
novel. He wrote the novel.
The novel. Yeah. Again, uncultured. I don't
All
read much.
good.
Um all right. Is there let me ask you, like what do you think is like is there anything pressing that you feel like, is worth talking about right now? Like what is going on in the world right now that like, people maybe should be aware of that they're not aware of?
Man, I think the genocide in Gaza is the most important thing in the world happening right now.
Yeah.
I think everything. Terrence Ray of the podcast Trillbillies wrote that. I'm just paraphrasing that. Basically, it is the issue that like everything else bends around, and because it shows why things are so terrible, how horrible they can get, and maybe even worse, and also like it highlights all the contradictions in power. um it's the most important thing. It really is. Because it's the most, especially in the sense that like it is the most sadistically evil thing that's happening. Because I want to make sure I get that clear. Arguably the most evil thing happening right now, but also like it's clearly the most sadistically evil thing, because it's not like a conflict between two people over uh you know uh something that they're both struggling for. It is a nuclear armed client state of the most powerful country in the world,
Mm.
versus with an air force and a navy and you know high tech weaponry stuff, all that, versus an open air prison of people who have insufficient amounts of anything for their basic necessities, and who have been under occupation for generations. Like that, it's not even it's absurd, and it's not because self defense, on the part of the Israelis. It's to eliminate or remove everybody, one way or another, and that's what makes it the most sadistically evil. And given the thing, the sort of the relishing of the carnage being done by soldiers, by politicians, by just regular people in Israel, like the opinion polls are way too supportive of what's happening in Gaza as far as Israeli opinion. Majority of people are fine with the literal ethnic cleansing and genocide.
Can I ask you if you were able to kind of like wave a wand and
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to give you too much power, but like, let's say like if you can like fix this, right?
Yeah.
And just say like what the solution would be. Like, do you think like the two-state, solution is
No,
right or
it's got to be, it needs to be, the just thing is one state, which I think should be Palestine, where everyone can coexist in equal rights, and where with property rights restored to the people who were displaced originally, Palestinians who were displaced. And I think what would be the most, the colony that is Israel can't continue to exist. It can't, and
Well, I mean,
it just can't, because it is just a living atrocity. That's all it is. And it there after this, why, what would be the defense of keeping it around as an entity of any power and resources?
well, so can I ask
It's like too
what- I mean,
dangerous
like,
to literally exist. Like it's absurd. Like I would worry about their threat. And as this has been happening, they've launched acts of aggression and war on every surrounding country virtually.
Right.
Lebanon, Syria, like Iran, Iraq, like ludicrous,
Right. But like,
So
so for the people that are living in Israel, I mean, where would they go? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to my own question is, right? Like, I'm just like, postulating and thinking like into the ether, um, but like, so, I mean, like, I don't know what does your solution entail for the people that like are in the colony of Israel, or just like, um, I, I, I get the government like, needs to go, but like, what's the rest?
wait, say it one more time.
Well, so I mean, like, what do the people of Israel like the people that are currently living in
Yeah,
Israel, like, where do they go at that point?
I would say, and also just want to qualify saying Israel's not attacked Iraq in this scheme of things. Like they were been they were like, I'm just saying historically they were like influential in pushing the invasion of Iraq by the U.S. and stuff like that. Anyway, um, I think any American, British person, Australian, European general, like any Westerner, any Western Jew that moves there should leave
Hmm.
off the bat. Like they should not be there. It was a knowingly evil thing to do to prosper and visit. Not that ever. I mean, the existence of Israel is like itself like a a mistake and a sin.
But I mean, like, in
Um,
the reality of the world, though, it's like, where do they go at that point?
America, we
America?
can accommodate literally every single. There are what 15 to 20 million Jews globally, depending on like what the definition is. Like we're talking about what level of ancestry, and there were times where more of them like there's so many Jews who are currently in Israel who lived in a place where it was perfectly safe and fine for them.
Right. I
And
am
they
a
said
little.
they would like pretend there was anti-Semitism or conflate other things with anti-Semitism, so they could say it's not safe here, so I have to go to Israel because I
Right.
saw a Palestinian flag at my college, like that. Even though that
Right.
college was like in New York City or something, which is like the largest concentration of Jews in the world outside of Israel.
Right. I'm a little interested in like how that tape might play out though, because like I'm thinking like I don't think I don't I think in general, and maybe I'm just like spouting my own
Uh,
personal perspective and not based on data at all. But like I don't necessarily see like Americans as anti-Semitic. Like I don't think there's like any
no,
real like I think there is a very small portion of people which happen
sure,
to be
it
right wing
exists,
most of the
yeah,
time, and they
yeah,
are 100% like anti-Semitic for sure.
and they support Israel in some cases.
Yeah,
Some of
but
them
like,
support Israel, some of them don't. But
but I think yeah, I don't know. It's like I just think Americans are anti-immigration though,
sure,
as a
no, no.
whole,
Well, no. I mean,
and so like
it's
I
you
wonder
think
if
that it's susceptible that feeling about
they will
immigration.
allow whites more than they'll allow anybody that's
Sure,
like
but I
non-white.
think the general feeling there about immigration, the attitudes toward openness toward immigration, are flexible, and it depends on what other politicians are saying. Because Democrats have spent decades now just being like, oh yeah, we also want to restrict immigration, or we want to make it easier to deport people, like that and that. I'm not saying they're saying the exact same things as Republicans, but like things that are unnecessarily exclusionary and unnecessarily punitive, because borders are a fiction anyway. But like and everyone should be able to like enjoy the prosperity that they can here, you know, and hopefully in community with other people. Um, but yeah, like when you have, if like the Democratic Party was truly a pro-immigration party, like in a real inclusive, loving way, attitudes in this country would be different toward immigrants. But right now, you have two parties where the majority says it's important to have a secure border, which is just like kind of a code for like it creates this idea like that if we don't do what we're doing now, we'll be vulnerable to attack or something, like some medieval shit, which is like
Right.
not the case. It's just it's just like the paranoid white racist imagination. But you can still even work in spite of that paranoid racist imagination if you're someone who is in a position of prominence or power and signaling immigration's good. Period.
Right.
Because right now you have a lot of, right after Trump 2024, there were people who were like consultants, political consultants, and communications consultants who were trying to like sell Democrats on this idea of like you have to basically also throw immigrants under the bus. And now we see, after all of the messaging that has come out, it's not enough from Democrats, not enough action either, but like as Trump's been launching these horrible operations, because there's been more of a backlash to that, attitudes toward immigration have swung back in favor, like lo and behold, because they see, oh wait, no, this is the reality of what happens when you do this. And also because Democrats are not as much this time, luckily did not take the bait as much to say like, we're even worse than he is on immigration. Like that's one thing that fucked up Kamala Harris. It was fucking stupid that like one of her first national ads once she was chosen as the nominee was like about a strong border, and it promoted fear-based narratives around immigrants and that are not found in reality.
Right.
So
I mean, I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm a optimist. Well, I'm not. I don't know what the fuck I am. I'm something.
It's okay to have hope. It's okay to have hope.
But sometimes I'm an optimist, and like, I want to think of like, I mean, like, I remember reading for the first time in a history book about like, how like the indigenous people like in America just didn't even have like property ownership, right? Like there was no idea of like, oh, I own this plot of land or whatever. And like,
Yeah, did you see, and that was.
But like that's a much better system in my opinion.
Yes, it is. Yes,
like
it is.
It's literally just like not like acting like like it makes no sense to me. Like I can literally draw a border right here between like Texas and fucking Mexico, and like I can have a baby on this side and that person can live freely in America, but if I have a baby on this side, they're fucking illegal and therefore they're going to be deported to some country that they're not even from because the fucking administration is like, fuck it, we're just going to get rid of them. Who cares? Like and
you'll see there
not even this is a predictable pattern. We did the same thing like to the Japanese when we had internment camps, and like 75% of them or something, some ridiculous number greater than 50% were all fucking US like born. Like this is so predictable and fucking obvious. Like, and we're opposed to like the thing that we knew was going to happen if you just fucking pick up a fucking history book. Like,
yeah, well, that's also why there's so much like right-wing disdain for the way history has been taught for a while. And it's why you're seeing these like ridiculous revisionist histories that they're trying to push on public schools now, in tandem with like partners like PragerU and other abominable entities that make like conservative dog shit. I mean it's also why people kind of shit on the humanities and the social sciences so much as like not serious studies that didn't get you enough of like a career and something anyway, but like you need to learn these things regardless of what your job is, because the social sciences help you understand why things happen between people, and the humanities, and from like an analytical standpoint, and like from a to understand systems and how they affect people. Whereas the humanities and the arts and stuff will teach you to understand the people who experience these things better, and your fellow person, and to have a better like emotional depth and sophistication to understand the complexities of feelings and motives, and to empathize with people more. Art can help in amplify empathy, because if you're confronted with stories of struggle and hardship of people who aren't like you, who just aren't you, period, or someone who's in your life, and you have to you are compelled to feel something about them. That's also that's a rebellious thing against the status quo. So that's why I think the arts and humanities help. They teach kids how to be nice to each other. You know, that's why Sesame Street's always under attack, or public broadcasting. Like it's that, you know, they it's not. It'll say like, this is an education. It's like ideology, and the ideology is like, if your friend doesn't have any food, you should give them some of yours.
Right.
Or help them find someone who can get them and their family fed. You know, like that your friends' feelings matter, and other people's feelings matter. Like those are like things that are like the next thing I worry that being in the conservative crosshairs is social emotional learning. And you're seeing rumblings of it. And you're seeing people, because like, remember when like,
Can you define social emotional?
Yeah, it's like curriculum in schools that teach kids the like vocabulary and skills to understand their emotions, to think about their emotions, and to consider what others' emotions could be, to like solicit or to show openness to other people's feelings.
Right.
And yeah, and like it's like for the over the last several years, you know, things have been like critical race theory has been like made a boogeyman, and DEI, you know, and shit like that. And like, I think I've seen some conservatives already go after SEL, social emotional learning, and that's going to be the more you see people talk about that and trying to describe that as like or try to paint that as something you should be afraid of, it's literally like teaching kids to be good to each other. And to themselves. That's like, it's literally teaching. It's teaching kids how to care about themselves,
right,
and know their own worth, and to be able to speak up when someone is hurting them emotionally, or even potentially physically. Because if you get kids in touch with their feelings, they can then also start, you know, better recognizing when someone who's like mistreating them, including like abuse. Like genuine abuse, understanding they shouldn't have to experience that, you know?
right.
And that's there's so much like conservative stuff about kids that when you like break it apart, you're like, you are just looking at some point, it's just like, why do you want to dismantle everything that empowers your kid to speak up for themselves, or to care about themselves and their own well-being, you know, and their own decision making and invent. And it ultimately, it's like, it's really sus. It's creep shit, man. It's like, I can't prove the worst is the motivation behind that. But I think with their whole like groomers and, you know, pedo stuff that they go on about, like you said, they were talking about like the Epstein stuff. Thee doth protest too much. Every time someone's like super like protect the kids, not empower the kids to speak up for themselves, not kids' feelings matter. Like when they don't speak about specific things about kids, or when they just say in like very generic, like protect the kids are in danger, etc. Those people either are so terrified of trying to just be a person in a real complex world, and in like an inclusive world where their kids are people, and they want it to be like just like a little like robot for them to like tell what to do and mold in their own image. That's a lot of them who are like protect the kids and protect them against the you know, the woke machine. But then there are a lot, and I don't know how many, but there's definitely a lot who are like creeps. They just want to make sure that their kid doesn't know they're being mistreated.
Right.
And I don't necessarily mean like, it doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying about like sexual or physical abuse, but even just like emotional abuse, you know? Because if you teach if you're, or neglect, you know, or like things that are just like things that parents aren't taking care of, that they're like forcing on their kid to be the one to handle when it's not, when they're still children. Like, you know, like there's so many things about, and but again, all of that to say, like, kids right now in a lot of states and a lot of cities are actually are poised to potentially function better than their parents and prior generations through this like emotional education shit.
Right.
Like that shit's incredible. They didn't have shit like that when I was growing up. I ventured that you didn't have that either.
No, I didn't.
I went to school. I grew up in Los Angeles, and that wasn't like the way. Like there was just like this kind of like generic like include people, be taught, don't be racist, and you know, be nice to each other and shit. Like, but it wasn't like that's a human being who's you know, experiencing life differently from you. Here's why it's important to empathize the extent that you can. Empathy wasn't even a thing that we talked about at all.
Right.
It wasn't. And so like to see, you know, have a niece and nephew that are like elementary school age. I've worked in a school setting myself.
Right.
And it's just a different world, and it could be great. It really could. And it's something that like gives me a little more hope, even despite like, yeah, like fucking streamer brain rot shit just sucks, and like everything like they're inside a lot because they're like COVID babies and tablet babies, and there are all these things working against them, and the boys are being like turned misogynist by dog shit manosphere people, and that also affects like Gen Z too. But like I do seeing that like the things that they are taught to consider. That gives me a little hope. And I think it's important when people whenever, if anyone ever starts being like, you see this SEL stuff they got these kids learning, that's like red flag. Because they probably don't even know what it is. But someone told me mad at it. But like what they were talking about is the stuff that every person should know. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's like school is a weird, like, kind of like experiment that like happened. It's not like this natural phenomenon, like we as humans kind of created it, where like people, you know, depending on the school that you go to, like some of them are more diverse than others, but like but like you have people maybe from all different walks of life, and then they like all kind of become a community together. And so there's good things about that, and then there's bad things about that. You have tribalism, and then like that becomes like, I think that develops at an early age, and then like a lot of people might be emotionally scarred from it.
But I think it's also why a lot of parents who are, you know, no dig to homeschool, but like they're like homeschoolers and private school families and supporters, because even as segregated and shitty as America is, you're and as segregated as public schools internally can be, depending on like how things are divided up, is still more diversifying and confrontational with difference than and more pro and like more like likely to stimulate appreciation for difference than the absence of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also they got to be in proximity to each other and learning how to be around other people, and in it's a social way, and like I'm not at a job way, you know, because if our only relationships,
I mean, school definitely feels like a job.
It feels no, exactly, but like it's you are doing things ostensibly for your own cultivation when you're at school.
Right.
Ostensibly. Obviously, there's more than that, but it's a different environment from like when you're at a job. And you know, if we only people you only relate to through work, those could be like, they could be amazing relationships. But if you don't relate to them outside of just the work you do and don't have space to engage with each other, it's going to limit what you might be able to or willing to do for them or with them, it may not bond you as closely. Whereas, you know, y'all go for a beer after work or whatever every Friday, and then then you're like, you know, later you're going to each other's houses for Thanksgiving with your family. You know, like you're like building community outside of work. You know, granted, there could be power in the workplace. There could be labor power. There could be labor solidarity and organized labor. That can also, but that itself too also is like kind of appealing to something outside of work, because you're talking about your human needs outside of just being an employee. Right. You know, and that like the labor solidarity and labor organizing, that itself, like, yeah, it's in the work, it's like a work relationship, but you're all talking about it because you want each other to eat, you want each other to flourish, and your loved ones to be able to like sustain themselves, you know. So
all right, man. I could keep going on with you, but we've been running for a minute.
Yeah, we're
keep you all night. But I greatly appreciate you taking the time out. You're a fucking legend.
My pleasure.
I am star-studded to even starstruck to be here. But
you're already, Dev, you're a star. You could say you could say that you're star-studded.
Thank you. But like, so do you have anything you want to plug? I know you just had your battle with Appa, which was
just had battle with Appa. I got music on the way.
Battle TV.
Yeah, I got some music on the way. It's you know, and I have had a bunch of things started and not finished, and because of the next thing I'm doing in life alongside that, or like it's my main thing, is like time consuming.
At this point, are you like dropping singles, or are you working on an album?
I'm working on an EP.
Okay.
And a single, and after that's done, I gotta dive into an actual album. I gotta get another one out. I know there's some artists who never do albums and just do small things, but like I need another album out. I do, and I just want for my own sake. Not even usually I only make music because I'm like, I like the connection I make with people through it. That's it. That's the number one reason I do it.
Right.
But there are certain things musically I do want to do for myself, and my own gratification too. But yeah, so music's on the way. I'm trying to get another battle going, hopefully before end of 2025. I battle or elsewhere. I think I talked to Ganik a little bit about another KOTG thing. Finally redeemed myself over there, whether on beat or off beat.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is it gonna be on beat? Because
I would love to. I would love to on beat stuff, and there are fewer bars.
Yeah, I saw the Philly event live, and that was pretty fire. Jazz the Rapper went fucking insane.
One thing that's frustrating that was like people
set the mold for like that's the bar for where you got to be at, right?
Okay, did she say a lot that was like opponent based?
She just had some like name flips. One I remember she was like, "I'm about to go crazy on the dick because I'm the throat because I'm the throat goat," and like
that's great.
And there was another one. Wait, hold on. Something about I can't remember. I'm gonna bastardize it, but it was like the easiest because she was battling Reed Dollars.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to get to Reed is to spell it out. I can't remember what the setup for that was though. I swear it was fire. Believe me.
What I would want to do then, but what I'd want to do is I would want to bring it to where I like to do battles, which is like the insult and because it's. I feel like name flips are, and I do them too now. I think they are still ultimately the lowest form of acceptable battle rap, because if you play, you know what a slide whistle is?
Yeah.
So it goes.
Yeah.
If you can play that after a punchline or a name flip, and it's still like you still be like, oh yeah, oh that's yeah. Then I think that it wasn't worth introducing to the world that what you wrote. I
will say that like on beat battles, like the mold has not been set by anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
have you seen some of the don't flop ones?
Yeah.
Really have some shit to them. They're saying some shit, and part of that's because they have like longer rounds, I think, than probably what this was, and what even a lot of them are. But like, look at Press One versus Bobby Rex on Beat Battle, which was crazy. And it felt a little like somewhere between where the freestyle battles used to be, but also like kind of like where like the verbal war zone and what King of the Dot's doing.
Yeah.
And I would want to say something. So like it just also like it because and otherwise to me it's like, well, just have a cipher.
Right.
And I don't think those would be competitive because then it's like you just try to give as many dope people a voice as possible in that setting. But anyway, yeah, I would love to do it on Beat Battle. If not, I think probably the one King of the Dot battle I gotta do before I die is me versus Thesaurus. And I feel like they're kind of entitled to it.
Yeah.
I won't go back to URL too. I think that door is still open.
Right.
I don't know who I'd get. And probably like a small room.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I always think about Jade the Nightwing, and like I would love to see that battle. That'd
be ludicrous. I don't think for how I would approach it. I don't think that's a smack battle.
Yeah.
Not to say that. That'd be like an eye battle.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I feel like I can't do a smack battle, but what I would want to do. I feel it'd be weird.
Right.
It'd be dope. I think it would still be objectively good. That's subjective. I think it'd be subjectively good to a large number of audiences, but I'd still just be like, I kind of want to put this in the eye battle zone.
Right.
Not that I couldn't do substantive, like creative things at King of the Dot or Smack, but just like, I know eye battle has like such a breadth of like very eclectic shit that they'll appreciate because everybody is there.
Yeah,
feels like every type of person is at iBattle.
I mean, that's part of what I love about it, though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, KOTD was that way too.
KOTD was that, and I still think it can be, but just like iBattle is like, I'm like literally there is someone, at least one person who will get everything.
Yeah.
Which is like in fact, multiple. And like, that's like so tough for me to like not want to like get a reaction from.
I'm absolutely in awe of the talent at iBattle. I really am.
Absolutely.
And I say this as I came out, I came up, I've been doing it for like, since I was like 12 or 13, but like, I like, went into text battling, but then like, I started like live battling in 2013 and like, I saw all the different phases, like starting from like WRCs and like even, like mainly WRCs and like onward. And like, I just think that like when I look at iBattle, they're taking this to like a higher form of craftsmanship to.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like I've ever.
Yeah.
Seen.
My one thing for the future is, and this is for everywhere, it's actually kind of why I said my whole line about like if your bars are not attacking your opponent, then it's like a poetry slam. Is it like right now I get concerned about the diversity of approaches.
Right.
Because you see something be
do you
done.
Think that's a genuine concern though? Or do you I mean like
I think it's a battle rap concern for me. It is.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think wait, what are your top 5 battles?
My top 5 battles?
Just throw out some, and I don't, you have to hold yourself. This is not me being like some of like what could qualify.
I tend to like just like punchy like flow rappers like the Thesaurus and Fresco is one of them. I'm gonna blank so badly because I'm bad on depression, man. You just making me feel all.
But Thesaurus and Fresco.
I love Enes. I love Nestle. I love like battle rappers that like flow. They sound like they're rapping.
Sure.
Because
But
I'm
always
of that era. But I also still appreciate people that like have their like. I appreciate Homeschool doesn't sound like that. Like but like I like what he does. I like all the different variations and styles. So like yeah, I mean, like even Appa, like he.
That thing, Appa. There's not enough. I don't think people shouldn't rip people off. People should rip off Appa, and not for and by. I'm not. And again, this is not actually maligning what he did, like in his 3rd round. That's famous against the Kid. Right. People really need to focus on all the other shit he does.
Right.
the substantive nature of what he says. Like he is making a point, like an actual, like most people say double meanings. They mean a single meaning with a different way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Double meanings are not, punches are not double meanings by and large in battle rap, because they are only talking about, the only meaning that you're actually using is the I'm going to shoot you part, or the I'm going to hit you part, or the this or that. Like a pretty banal idea or concept, but just it's, you say like blah 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 in blah 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 show or whatever you do, you know, or wordplay involved in that. That isn't as good for battle rap as what Appa does.
Right.
What Appa does, and I'm not talking about the punches, I'm talking about his conceptual, the conceptual side of his work. And it's not like, I'm not saying like it's like winning a debate, but it's like the creativity and like thought process that he shows in front of you is what.
And by the way, I give Appa all his flowers.
Sure, you know, I didn't doubt that yet, but I'm saying like, I think of, when we think of the things that like push the audience wider in a not shitty way, like I don't think, like for instance, like I think kind of like some of Wild 'N Out sucks. You know, I love people on the show. I love the people on the show. Yeah, that's why, especially I know, and I'm glad.
The thing.
I want them to make money,
and like doing bad rap battles. Like,
and like they're some amazing people who I personally and creatively endorse. But like the biggest like Lux and Calico happens saying specific shit to each other about each other. That's not because it wasn't like, yo, that was a crazy Calico flip. So that's not, no one says that.
Right.
That's not said, you know, like the reason, like, I'm trying to think of another like big battle, fucking, I don't think of other examples, fucking, even like Solomon Nitty, you know, Nitty is like someone though who does like closer in like an Appa way though, like is saying something with their double meanings. Like it's not just, oh, this is a different way to say a thing. It's like no, I literally am. There are two meanings here, or that it's the point underneath the wordplay is good, or like clever. But even I think I battled Appa because I think he's the like best of his class, like him and Archduke. Yeah. Across battle rap.
Are you ever going to battle Archduke?
Probably not. I don't want to do that. Terrifying. And not to say that Appa's any less in that, but I just figuring out Appa would be easier than figuring out Archduke in a way that I also really like. The things I could say to Appa, I knew he would know weren't meant to actually discourage him or like judge him as all sort of like the wrestling aspect of the shit.
Yeah.
With Archduke, I feel like in order to win,
I mean,
I would be so mean. It would be cruel. That goes
into the dark closet.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. And a little bit in the dark closet. So like it's figuratively, like it's rather figuratively. Like it's I don't want to. Where I would go, it worries me.
Right.
And not in the sort of like, oh, you should be afraid. Like it still wouldn't necessarily win, but it would be like to make me competitive.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like that too, and I feel like I got to get in that bag just to like defend myself, because I always feel like, you know, I'm at a disadvantage almost, and I feel like people are going to come at me because I put a lot of like information out, and I also just have like my disabilities and shit, and like it's just like if people approach like me a certain way, I feel like I have to like, you know, defend against that by getting extra personal sometimes. It really depends.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Sean O'Shawn, for example, is one person I thought like really gets kind of like at you like as a person. But yeah, I mean, like, so I get it 100%, but at the same time, yeah, I was scheduled to battle Archduke, but I always thought of it as like a fun battle. I'm a fan. I'm just gonna go out there and just rap some good bars and
yeah. But you know, I knew he, you know, next person I want to battle, I don't actually think would be personal at all. but I think he's dope. Like I want to battle Dollar Bill. I think he's dope what he does. You know, it's just like and you know, I'm not doing it based on like, oh, I think this person can get me views.
Right.
That's clearly not been. I haven't been battling like huge view getters lately. You know, that hasn't been the.
But I mean, that's also
and that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, like.
And I mean, not that I wouldn't try, like, not that I'd like turn it down, but like, I feel like there's something special. Like, I hope Appa's numbers, like, I made a point in the battle about like basically diminishing returns, or whatever. Like, that's not his fault. That's like the algorithm sucks and it rewards dog shit.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some battler. I think Archduke would be probably bigger on battle rap than he is right now, because he's obviously bigger on like TikTok and Instagram and shit for like his that
Sadly,
stuff.
His TikTok account got shut down.
Yeah, and it's like
so
and yeah, it was wild. But like
also, I blame. We're gonna go all the way back. I blame this fucking Trump administration.
Yeah, shit's fucked up.
Definitely like TikTok, definitely like shown a light on like Israel and like.
Yeah, it used to be good. It used to be all good for the most part, depending on what your algorithm was. But yeah, so like I feel like not. It's right now. It's not.
And now they're like moving more towards censorship.
Yeah, but like also think about like fucking. You know, the biggest battle rappers right now aren't the ones who I think are the best.
I mean, I agree with that 100%.
By any stretch, like
there's definitely like
there are a few. There's some who are. There's some who are.
Authenticity. Like if you can like say that you're like credibly like a blood or like you have a good like criminal record, that will definitely elevate you.
Well, I think there's also accessibility is a big thing, because people are like, oh, if you don't understand what the fuck a motherfucker's saying, you're not gonna be a fan the same way someone is. I mean, sure, I've had people not understand what the fuck I said, really, who love me, and that's fine. I'll take them too. They're welcome, and hopefully they learn what I actually was saying. But like, and if it's just vibes, cool. I vibe with them too. But it becomes similar to like how music is. It's not the best shit that's the most popping. Sometimes that happens. Like, we have Kendrick right now and other rappers who are amazing, who are actually like very commercially successful. Maybe not as successful as some rappers in prior eras, because there was more money being made and more like record sales, because there were like CDs. But yeah, we're overwhelmed by how much shit there is, but there is also a lot of dope shit. I'm not by any stretch. I can't be like one of those people who's like, rap sucks now, blah, 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 because like, well, the planet's worth of rap sucks. I don't understand the majority of it to begin with, because the majority of it is not going to be in English. And like, so I can't even say some bold pronouncement about it on that alone.
Yeah, I don't know what they say on Flip Top, but I'm sure it's fucking lit.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fire.
All the views of it.
I see the shit. Well, when I see that shit, like, it's really, we're blessed because we can get translations of that, and you see, like, because you're that little barrier of like not hearing it as a rhyme might like compromise it a little bit for you, but like just reading it, the meaning of their shit, it's dope. It's crazy. But I'm talking about like music wise too. Like, this music wise, I'm happy with where hip hop is in terms of just the availability of so much amazing shit. You could listen to a good rapper every single day.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life. Probably. It's crazy. Like, just with what exists now. There's people in every state, every country. And so I'm never going to be like, I can't, it's not like when I was like working at Fat Beats in the aughts and just disgruntled about the state of hip hop. And even earlier than that. Like that is great now. Personally, I'm not gonna bother if there's some more popping shit that just isn't as good. I don't give a fuck. I don't have to listen to it.
Right.
So, but I will let you go. I gotta take my dogs out too.
Yeah, man. I greatly appreciate it, and
absolutely.
Have a great day, bro.
You too, man. All right.
Hold on one second.
Easy.